Hey, welcome to the English Podcast Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're going to be tackling something that's both exciting and maybe a little bit scary.
Oh, yeah.
Making friends in a new city.
It is a little scary.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like stepping onto a brand new stage, ready for these fresh adventures, but without a familiar cast to share it with.
That's a great analogy. And, it is something a lot of people struggle with.
It is.
It's not like school where friendships just form, almost automatically.
Yeah.
As adults, we have to be much more intentional about how we go about creating those connections.
Yeah. So to help us navigate this whole social maze, we've got the amazing Sarah joining us today. Sarah, are you ready to help us dive into the world of new city friendships?
Absolutely. I've been digging into some really interesting research on this, and I think we're going to uncover some real gems today.
I think so too. Okay, So first things first, why is it so darn hard to make friends once you're out of school? You'd think it would be easier, right?
You would think.
The older you get, the more people you meet.
You would think that, right? But the reality is that the game changes a little bit.
It does.
And, think about it. When you're in school or college, you have this ready-made framework for socializing.
You do.
Everyone's in the same boat. They're going through similar experiences.
Yeah.
But once you're out in the quote-unquote real world,
right,
those structures kind of fade away.
Yeah, it's like we're suddenly expected to be these social butterflies with no net.
Exactly.
No wonder people feel a little bit lost.
And then you add in the realities of being an adult, right?
Yeah.
Your busy schedules, your work commitments, maybe you even have family responsibilities.
Right.
So it's really easy for socializing to slip down the priority list.
It is. And let's be honest, the fear of rejection doesn't just magically disappear when you hit adulthood.
Oh, absolutely not.
And if anything, it might even get a little bit worse.
It might even intensify a little bit, yeah.
And then you've got this strange paradox of the digital age.
Oh, totally.
We're hyper-connected online.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like that can actually make it harder to connect with people like in person, face to face.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like we've forgotten how to have real conversations.
Yeah.
How to really be present with each other without being distracted by all those notifications and perfectly curated online personas.
Right. So given all these hurdles, where do we even begin?
Right.
How do we actually meet potential friends in this new urban jungle?
Well, it's interesting you say that because one of the things that actually has worked surprisingly well for some people is the online world.
Okay, so I know we just talked about the pitfalls of digital connection.
We did.
But hear me out. I was actually really blown away by some of the success stories I came across in the research.
Absolutely. One that really stood out to me was somebody who found their entire friend group through Facebook groups.
Oh, wow.
That were tailored to their new city and their interests.
Okay.
They just posted a little introduction, said they were looking to connect, and boom, instant community.
It's amazing how something as simple as a well-crafted post, it really is,
Can open up a whole new social circle.
it's like you're putting out this beacon and you're trying to attract the right kind of people.
Right.
So be specific in your post. Mention the activities you love, the kind of vibe you're looking for. Paint a picture of what it would be like to hang out with you.
It's like a friend-finding filter.
It is.
Make sure you connect with people who genuinely share your passions.
Exactly. And of course, safety first.
Always good advice.
Always be cautious when you're sharing personal information and meeting up with people that you don't know very well.
Right. It's all about finding that balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Putting yourself out there, but also making sure that you're protecting yourself at the same time.
Another online avenue that's really great are language groups.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you've moved somewhere where they speak a different language.
It's like a double whammy.
It is.
You're learning a new language and making friends at the same time.
You get to practice your new language skills, immerse yourself in the culture, and bond with people over this shared challenge of learning. It reminds me of when I first moved to, well, I won't name names.
Oh, no.
But let's just say that my language skills were, shall we say, under construction.
I can only imagine.
But attending a language exchange meetup
Oh, nice.
was one of the best decisions I ever made.
Really?
I got people from all over the world, fumbled through these hilarious conversations,
Yeah.
and made some really lasting connections.
Oh, wow.
It definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, but in the best possible way.
Sometimes those awkward, slightly terrifying moments are the ones that lead to the greatest rewards.
I think you're right. And that brings us to a crucial point, the importance of pushing past that initial hesitation and saying yes to opportunities.
Yes.
Even if they seem a little bit daunting at first.
You never know what magical encounters might be waiting just around the corner.
I remember this one time I almost bailed on a last-minute meetup.
Oh, really?
Something about a picnic.
Wait, was this the slacklining picnic?
You know it.
Yeah.
I almost chickened out, but I forced myself to go, and I'm so glad I did.
What happened?
Oh, it was a hilarious disaster, but in the best way possible. Let's just say slacklining is not my forte.
Okay.
But I made some new friends while laughing at my own clumsiness.
That's the spirit. And it really proves the point sometimes those most unexpected situations lead to the strongest bonds.
They do. So we've explored some promising online avenues, but what about venturing out into the real world? Where can we go to encounter potential friends, quote unquote, in the wild?
Well, the good news is the options are pretty much endless. It's like this buffet of social possibilities.
Okay, because I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed
I know, right?
by the sheer number of choices.
It's a lot. So the first thing I'd say is, before you go diving into a sea of strangers, take a look at your existing connections.
You mean like reach out to friends of friends who might live in my new city?
Exactly. Sometimes the people you're looking for are just 1 or 2 degrees of separation away.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like tapping into this ready-made network of potential pals.
It's amazing how often we overlook those connections.
I know. And if you've recently started a new job, don't forget about your work colleagues.
Oh yeah, work events can be a surprisingly good place to meet new friends.
Especially those informal gatherings where you can kind of let your guard down a bit.
Right.
And connect on a more personal level.
So reach out to friends of friends, explore work connections, any other hidden gems in that network realm.
You know, don't underestimate the power of just your wider social circle.
Okay.
You never know who might know someone who knows someone in your new city.
Oh, that's true.
It's like a social treasure hunt. You just have to ask the right questions.
So I should be spamming LinkedIn with looking for friends posts.
Maybe not spamming, but, definitely don't be shy about putting some feelers out there.
Okay.
Casual conversations with friends and family can lead to some surprising introductions. You might be surprised who they know.
Okay. I'm making a mental note to tap into that network power.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, beyond leveraging those existing connections, the most powerful advice I can give is this. Follow your passions.
Now you're speaking my language.
Find the activities that light you up.
Yes.
Whether it's rock climbing or pottery or volunteering or, even something completely off the wall like slacklining, apparently.
They don't knock it till you try it.
That's right. The point is, when you're engaged in something that you genuinely enjoy, you naturally attract like-minded people.
You do.
It's like this magnet for friendships that are built on shared interests and values.
It's all about finding your tribe.
Exactly. Now, speaking of tribes, I came across this really fascinating concept while I was doing research for our deep dive today.
Okay.
And it has to do with this idea of finding your life force.
Okay, now you've got me intrigued. Tell me more about this life force.
Well, it's this idea that by nurturing these 3 core elements, your body, your connections with people, and your sense of self,
Okay.
you naturally draw in the right kind of energy and the right kind of connections.
So it's about becoming like the best, most authentic version of yourself.
Yeah.
And trusting that the right people will be drawn to that energy. I love that. It's like, building a bonfire. The brighter your inner flame burns, the more people will gather around for its warmth and light.
Beautiful analogy. So we've talked about leveraging connections, we've talked about following your passions, but what about some specific places to go?
Yeah, because our research mentioned a ton of different options, right?
A ton. Like, it's endless.
So give us the rundown. Where can we go on these friend-finding adventures?
All right, buckle up. We've got coffee shops, dog parks, bars, churches, libraries, cultural clubs, farmers markets, street fairs.
Okay, keep going.
Volunteer organizations, gyms, yoga studios, book clubs, wine clubs, beaches, martial arts classes, sports teams, running clubs, hiking groups, fan clubs.
Wow, that's quite a menu.
I even read about somebody who made a really close friend through a dog walking service.
No way. That's amazing. It just goes to show you really can meet people anywhere.
You can. It's about keeping an open mind and recognizing those opportunities for connection,
right,
no matter where they pop up.
So we've got all these potential hotspots for meeting people, but what happens after that initial hello?
Right.
How do we turn those fleeting encounters into something more substantial?
That's where the real magic happens. But before we dive into that, I think we need to take a quick pause. Okay, so we've ventured out, We've braved those first introductions. But how do you actually nurture those fledgling connections and turn them into genuine friendships?
Yeah, that's the real challenge, isn't it?
It is.
I've definitely had those moments where I meet someone cool, we chat for a bit, maybe exchange numbers, and then
Crickets.
crickets.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
It does.
And, I think a big part of it is we focus so much on that initial meeting that we forget about the long game.
Yeah.
The art of actually building and maintaining a lasting friendship.
Right. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we go from those surface level interactions to those deeper, more meaningful connections?
One of the biggest things that I see people doing is waiting for the other person to make the first move.
Oh, yeah.
We get caught up in this dance of who texts first.
Right.
And, are we being too eager? What if they reject us?
All those fears.
All those fears. Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Most people are just as nervous about reaching out as you are.
That's true.
Just take a chance.
Yeah.
Send that follow-up text. Suggest grabbing coffee, or even just share a funny meme that reminded you of them.
Right. It's about showing genuine interest.
It is.
And letting that other person know that you're thinking about them.
Exactly. And when you do hang out, be present.
Be present. Okay.
Put the phone away. Resist the urge to check social media and just really engage with the person right there in front of you.
It's amazing how those small acts of presence can speak volumes.
They really can.
It shows the other person that you value their company,
Yes.
that you're genuinely interested in what they have to say.
And don't be afraid to take it even a step further. Share something personal.
Okay.
A funny story, a childhood memory, a struggle that you're going through right now, a dream you're chasing.
I think vulnerability can be really scary, but it's definitely the key to unlocking those deeper connections.
It is. It's like you're inviting the other person to meet the real you.
Yes.
Not just that, polished version that you present to the world.
Right. And when both people feel safe enough to let their guard down a little bit,
Yes.
that's where the magic happens.
That's where the magic happens.
So it's about that consistency and communication being present and just kind of gradually deepening those layers of vulnerability.
I think so. And don't forget the power of shared experiences.
Oh, yeah.
Make time for each other, even if it's just a quick coffee or a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And be open to trying new things together.
Speaking of trying new things, remember that time I attempted slacklining?
How could I forget? It was epic.
Well, that shared adventure, as disastrous as it was for my coordination,
Yeah.
really solidified the bond with those new friends. We still laugh about it to this day.
That's what it's all about. Those shared experiences, especially the ones that push you out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Right.
Create those lasting memories, and they just strengthen the connection.
It's like weaving this tapestry of shared moments.
Yes.
The more threads you add, the richer and more intricate the design becomes.
That's beautiful. And let's not forget about celebrating each other's successes too.
Oh, that's so important. I think we often focus on being there for each other during those tough times,
We do.
but celebrating those wins, big or small,
Yes.
can be just as bonding.
Absolutely. It shows that you're genuinely invested in each other's happiness and growth.
It's like being each other's cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Urging each other on
Yes.
towards our dreams and aspirations.
Now, along with that, don't forget one of the most fundamental aspects of any strong relationship: listening.
Listening, it's everything.
It really is. It's the foundation of understanding and empathy and connection.
Couldn't agree more.
It's about more than just hearing the words. It's about paying attention to the nuances, the unspoken emotions, the underlying needs.
It's about being fully present with that other person
Yes.
and creating a space where they feel heard, seen, and understood.
Exactly. And, sometimes the most powerful form of listening is just being present with someone's pain
Yeah.
without trying to fix it or offer unsolicited advice.
Just holding that space for their emotions.
Yes.
Letting them know that you're there for them without judgment.
Now, on that note, there's another crucial element we need to address: boundaries.
Boundaries.
Yes.
Those invisible lines that protect our emotional well-being.
Exactly.
But how do we navigate those in the realm of friendship? It feels a little trickier than, say, setting boundaries with colleagues or acquaintances.
You're right. It can be a little more delicate, but it's equally important.
Okay.
And, it starts with being honest with yourself about your needs and limits.
So asking myself, what am I comfortable sharing? What are my non-negotiables in terms of how I want to be treated?
Exactly. It's about honoring your own needs and values.
Okay.
And then communicating those boundaries to your friends clearly and respectfully.
It's not about being controlling or demanding.
Yeah.
It's about creating a safe and healthy space for that friendship to thrive.
And remember, Respecting your friends' boundaries is just as important as setting your own.
Oh, absolutely. It's a two-way street.
It is. Everyone has their own unique set of needs and limits.
Right.
And honoring those differences is key to creating that harmonious connection.
So we've talked about communication, shared experiences, vulnerability, boundaries. What else is essential for cultivating those lasting friendships?
Here's one that often gets overlooked. Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. That's interesting. How does that factor into the equation of friendship?
Well, let's face it, no friendship is perfect.
That's true.
There will inevitably be times when you know your friends make mistakes, or they hurt your feelings, or they disappoint you.
It's bound to happen at some point, no matter how strong the bond is.
And it's in those moments that forgiveness becomes such a powerful force.
Okay.
And, it's not about condoning bad behavior or pretending that everything is okay.
Right.
It's about choosing to let go of the hurt and the resentment.
Yeah.
So that the friendship can actually heal and move forward.
It's about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and sometimes we need a little grace from our friends.
Exactly. And sometimes forgiving our friends also means forgiving ourselves.
Now that's a really thought-provoking concept.
It is.
What do you mean by forgiving ourselves in the context of friendship?
Well, sometimes we sabotage our own friendships because we're so afraid of making mistakes or letting people down.
Oh, yeah.
We put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect that we end up pushing people away.
Right.
Or we prevent them from getting close in the first place.
It's like we build these walls around our hearts, fearing that if someone gets too close, they'll see all our flaws and reject us.
And that fear can prevent us from extending the same grace and forgiveness to our friends that we so desperately want for ourselves.
So it's all interconnected.
It is.
Our ability to forgive others is intertwined with our ability to forgive ourselves.
Exactly. And one final thought on forgiveness. Sometimes the most important person to forgive is yourself. If you've made a mistake in a friendship, acknowledge it, apologize sincerely, and learn from it.
It's about taking responsibility for your actions and allowing yourself the space to grow and evolve.
And recognizing that you are worthy of forgiveness, both from yourself and from others.
Such wise words. So we've covered a lot of ground here when it comes to nurturing those precious friendships.
We have.
Any other pearls of wisdom before we move on?
Just this. Remember that building and maintaining friendships takes time, effort, and a whole lot of heart.
It does.
But it's one of the most rewarding things that we can do for ourselves.
I agree. Our friends enrich our lives in countless ways.
I do.
They bring joy and laughter and support and a sense of belonging.
Yes.
They make the journey of life so much less lonely and a lot more meaningful.
Beautifully said. And, sometimes they even become our chosen family.
So for our listeners out there who might be feeling a little overwhelmed or discouraged about making friends in their new city,
Yeah.
what's the one piece of advice that you'd leave them with?
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Finding your tribe might take time,
It might.
but it's out there. It's waiting to be discovered. Keep putting yourself out there. Be open to unexpected connections and trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time.
So what I'm hearing is, be patient, be persistent, and be open to the magic of human connection.
I love it.
And that brings us to another really fascinating aspect of this whole friendship quest. It's about how our actual environment can impact
Yeah.
our ability to connect with others.
Absolutely.
So you're saying that our surroundings can actually make it easier or harder to make friends?
It really can. I mean, some cities just have this more, vibrant social energy. Maybe they have a strong sense of community, tons of public spaces, or just a culture that really embraces openness and connection.
So if you're feeling like you're hitting a brick wall socially, it might not be entirely your fault.
It might not.
Your city might just not be the most conducive to friend making.
And sometimes, a change of scenery can really be like a breath of fresh air for your social life.
But what if moving isn't an option?
Right.
What can we do to create that kind of friend-friendly atmosphere within our current city?
That's such a good question. I think it starts with identifying those spaces and activities that make you feel, most comfortable and connected.
Right.
Maybe it's a cozy coffee shop, a bustling park, even a bookstore where you can just lose yourself in the stacks.
I love that idea. It's about finding those little pockets of community
It is!
within that larger urban landscape.
Exactly. And once you've found those spots, make them a regular part of your routine.
Right.
Become a familiar face, strike up conversations with the staff and the other regulars, see if there are any events or groups that you can join.
It's like creating your own mini community within the city.
Exactly. And you know what? Don't be afraid to be the initiator of those connections.
Okay.
Invite someone to join you for coffee. Strike up a conversation in line at the grocery store. Compliment someone on their awesome outfit.
Those small gestures can be so powerful.
It can.
You just never know where they might lead.
Yeah. Speaking of unexpected connections, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of being open to different kinds of friendships.
So not limiting ourselves to people who are just like us.
Exactly. I think sometimes we get so caught up in searching for friends who, mirror our own interests and personalities, that we miss out on the beauty of connecting with people who are different from us.
I agree. It's those differences that can really enrich our lives and expand our perspectives.
And I think that's especially important in a new city where you're surrounded by people from all walks of life. It's like this melting pot of possibilities for connection.
So don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
I agree.
And connect with people who might not fit into your usual friend group.
Yeah, maybe they have different hobbies, or they come from different backgrounds, or they just have different perspectives on life.
But those differences can be so enriching.
They really can. It's like adding more spices to the recipe of life.
I love that. And speaking of spices, I think it's important to mention the role of diversity in building a truly thriving community.
Oh, absolutely.
When you say diversity, what exactly do you mean?
When we surround ourselves with people who are all from the same background, who share the same beliefs and experiences, we really limit our own growth and our understanding of the world.
Right. It's like living in an echo chamber.
It is.
Where all you hear are your own thoughts and opinions reflected back at you.
Exactly. But when we embrace diversity, whether it's diversity of age or race or ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, or even just diversity of thought and experience, we create a much richer, more vibrant, tapestry of human connection.
It's like weaving all these different threads together to create something truly beautiful and unique.
It is. And it's in those spaces of diversity where we can truly learn from each other, challenge our own biases and grow as individuals.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the art of making friends in a new city, what's the one piece of wisdom you'd leave our listeners with?
Be patient with yourself.
Okay.
Building a new social life takes time.
It does.
And it's not always easy. There will be moments of frustration and loneliness and self-doubt.
Right.
But don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep putting yourself out there. Keep nurturing those connections and just trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time.
It's like planting a garden.
It is.
You have to tend to those seeds of connection. Water them with kindness and authenticity, and be patient as they grow.
Beautifully said. And sometimes those friendships blossom in the most unexpected ways.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through the world of new city friendships.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
Your insights have been truly invaluable.
I've enjoyed it so much.
And for all of you listening out there, we would love to hear from you.
We would.
What resonated with you most? What are you going to try out in your own life? Share your thoughts and experiences on social media or in the English Podcast Lab community forum.
We're all in this together.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep those friend dates coming.
Bye, everyone.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into making friends in a new city. We hope you enjoyed the journey as much as we have.